simply a ploy.
And even though so many reports of domestic violence are made by the same individuals, they're counted by the police as separate incidents, and the data are disseminated as applying to separate individuals. For example, a car accident can happen to anyone, but if someone was having a car accident every year, there could only be so many crashes before they'd have to stop automatically blaming other drivers and start to examine their own driving. Insurance companies allow for this sort of thing with insurance premiums. If you have car crash after car crash after car crash, your premiums will continually go up, you'll be classed as a bad risk, and you'll eventually become uninsurable. But what do we do about women who repeatedly abuse and involve themselves in abusive relationships? Well, we lock up the men, of course. There's no help for these abusive women, and there's certainly no sanction against their behaviour. Instead of trying to help these women to unlearn their violent and aggressive tendencies, we willfully pretend that domestic violence is only caused by men. And so these women continue to abuse and cause abuse with the same or different partners for years without any restraint. They're the typhoid Marys of the modern age. Charities like Women's Aid and Refuge, which are supposedly there to help women in domestic violence situations, offer no assistance for violent women. As their web pages show, they determinedly deny that any woman could ever be at fault.
This chap, he had a couple of boys, and his wife used to knock him about, usually when he wasn't there. And they have bruises and scratches and things like that. She'd take a belt to him. And he chucked her out eventually, and they went to court, divorce, their affidavits from all their neighbours, they've witnessed all the abuse to the kids. So I said, well, I shouldn't worry. I said, they listened to all that, there's no way she's going to get custody. She did. And the judge told her off. He said, I can't be dealing with all this. He said, I've heard about all this violence. He said, but I can't be dealing with this in my court. He said, told her off for being a lousy mother, and said, well, I'm going to keep my eye on you for a year, but I'm giving you custody. Told him he was a really good dad, but pack your bags, mate, out you go. And then he was silent for about 6 months, or the kids were silent for about 6 months, and then at the end of 6 months he finally got them to speak up, and they told him what was going on, and I said to you, he cried during the interview, so I had to stop the camera. And then when he picked himself up again, he said, and the awful thing is, he said, it's all going on, he said, and there's nothing I can do about it. So what the Home Office and Women's Aid are doing, in fact, it's quite violent, it's quite evil, because for their, what I call gender politics, what they're doing is they're making kids suffer as well. All right, they might hate men, so we've got to live with that, but they shouldn't do it with kids.
All of this continues because we, as a society, refuse to recognise the enormity of female violence.